The lecture hall smelled like burnt circuits and recycled air. Again. I swear Professor Torvin had blown out the environmental controls 3 times this semester alone. The old Velcran never could figure out basic maintenance, but ask him about gravitational physics and he would talk your auditory sensors off for hours. I settled into my hover seat, letting it adjust to my body weight. Around me, students from 17 different species were doing the same. Some floated, some perched. One particularly ambitious Quillix was literally hanging from the ceiling because, well, that is just what they do. Settle down, Torvin announced, his voice crackling through the translator embedded in my neural implant. He shuffled to the front of the room on his 6 spindly legs, each one making a soft clicking sound against the floor. Today we discuss gravitational tolerance across sentient species. And let me tell you, this is where biology gets truly fascinating. I tried not to roll my eyes. Torvin said that about everything. Last week he had claimed that atmospheric pressure differentials were fascinating. The week before it was radiation resistance. Everything was fascinating to this guy. He pulled up a holographic display, and numbers started floating in the air between us. Gravity measurements, planetary data, survival thresholds. Now, Torvin continued, pointing one of his manipulator appendages at the display. As you all know, our galaxy is home to thousands of sentient species, each evolved on worlds with different gravitational pulls. The Velcrans, my own people, come from a world with 0.4 standard gravities. The Quillix evolved in 0.2, the Brenthi in 0.6. A Brenthi student in the back made a chittering sound of acknowledgement. But here is the important part. Torvin paused for dramatic effect. He loved doing that. No known sentient species has ever evolved on, or can survive for extended periods on, a world with 1 standard gravity or higher. I had heard this before. It was basic xenobiology. High-gravity worlds were death traps. The stronger the gravitational pull, the more energy a body needed just to move. Bones had to be thicker. Hearts had to pump harder. Everything became exponentially more difficult. 1 standard gravity, Torvin repeated, is essentially the universal limit. Cross that threshold, and you are looking at a planet that will crush most species within hours, days at most. The energy expenditure alone would be catastrophic. Lena, sitting next to me, leaned over. She was a Yillith, all crystalline skin and bioluminescent patterns. Do you think he is going to bring up the Kravox expedition again? Oh, definitely, I whispered back. He brings it up every semester. Right on cue, Torvin pulled up another display. The tragic Kravox expedition of cycle year 3012. A research team thought they could establish a base on a 1.1 gravity world. They had exoskeletons. They had enhancement drugs. They had the best technology available at the time. He paused again. Dramatic effect. Always with the dramatic effect. They lasted 6 days before their bodies started shutting down. 3 of them died before the rescue team arrived. The survivors needed months of rehabilitation. One never fully recovered. The room got quiet. Even the Quillix stopped swinging from the ceiling. So let me be absolutely clear, Torvin said, his voice taking on that serious tone he used when he wanted us to really pay attention. 1 standard gravity is the line. Cross it, and you are playing with death. No species survives prolonged exposure to 1G. None. It is simply not biologically possible. That is when the door opened. Now, our lecture hall had fancy automatic doors. They were supposed to slide open smoothly and quietly. These doors did not do that. Instead, they made a horrible grinding sound, like someone had forgotten to oil the mechanisms for about 3 years. Everyone turned to look. And that is when I saw him, when he was tall. Taller than any Velcran, though not quite as tall as a Brenthi. His body was arranged in a bipedal configuration, which was common enough. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, standard bilateral symmetry. His skin was a weird sort of pinkish-brown color, and he had these tiny patches of hair on his head. Dark brown, almost black. What struck me most were his eyes. They were forward-facing, predator eyes. He stepped into the room, and his feet made heavy thuds against the floor. Not the clicking of Torvin's legs, not the soft padding of Yillith's feet. Proper, solid thuds. "Sorry I am late," he said, and his voice came out in actual sound waves, not through a translator. Deep, resonant. "Had trouble finding the building. Your campus signage is, not great." Torvin stared at him. We all stared at him. The newcomer looked around the room, seemed to realize he had interrupted something important, and gave an apologetic shrug. "Should I come back?" "I can come back." "No, no," Torvin stammered. His usually steady voice had developed a tremor. "Please, come in. You must be the new exchange student." "That is me." The stranger walked further into the room, and I noticed he was carrying a bag slung over one shoulder. Just carrying it. Like it weighed nothing. Marcus Webb. From Earth. "Pleased to meet everyone." Earth. The name meant nothing to me. I had never heard of it. Marcus found an empty hover seat near the front and, after examining it for a moment, sat down. The seat immediately adjusted, then made a concerning whining sound. It was not used to that much weight. Torvin had recovered some of his composure. "Welcome, Marcus. I am Professor Torvin. We were just discussing gravitational tolerance in sentient species." "Oh, cool." Marcus set his bag down on the floor. It hit with a thud. "Sounds interesting." Indeed. Torvin turned back to his display, but I could see his manipulator appendages were trembling slightly. As I was saying, one standard gravity represents an absolute threshold. No species can survive prolonged exposure to such extreme conditions. Marcus raised his hand. Torvin blinked at him. "Yes?" "Quick question," Marcus said, and there was something in his tone. Not quite sarcasm, not quite humor, something in between. "What gravity does Earth have?" The room went silent again. Different kind of silent this time. Confused silent. Torvin pulled up his datapad and started scrolling through planetary databases. "Earth, Earth, Earth," he muttered. "Where is?" "Ah, here we go. Sol system. Third planet. Single large moon. Atmospheric composition is, oh my." "What?" Lena asked. Torvin looked up at Marcus, then back at his datapad, then back at Marcus. "This says Earth has 1.0 standard gravities." "Yep," Marcus confirmed. 1 g give or take. "That is impossible." "I mean, I grew up there, so I am pretty sure it is not impossible." Torvin's translator must have glitched because what came out next was a series of unintelligible clicks and buzzes. He cleared his throat. Tried again. "You are saying you evolved on a one-gravity world?" "Correct." "Yeah. And you can move around normally in one gravity?" "Well, yeah." Marcus stood up to demonstrate. Walking, running, jumping, all the usual stuff. "I played a lot of basketball in high school." "That is a sport where you know what, not important right now." He sat back down. The hover seat whined again. I could see Torvin's brain working. You could always tell when he was thinking hard because his eye stalks would rotate in little circles. Right now they were rotating so fast I thought they might fall off. "But that is not possible," Torvin said finally. "The energy requirements alone. Your cardiovascular system would have to be incredibly powerful. Your skeletal structure would need to be absurdly dense. Your musculature is pretty good." "Yeah," Marcus agreed. "I mean, I am not a bodybuilder or anything, but I can bench press about 80 kilograms on Earth." "More here, obviously, since your station is running at what, 0.4? 0.35, Torvin said weakly. "Right, 0.35. So here I could probably lift like 200 kilograms? Maybe more? I have not really tested it." Lena grabbed my arm. Her bioluminescent patterns were flashing in what I recognized as extreme anxiety. "Vec," she whispered. Is he saying what I think he is saying? I think he is saying humans are from a high-gravity world. That is insane. I know. No. Torvin had moved on from shock to academic curiosity. His eye stalks stopped rotating and focused intently on Marcus. Tell me about your planet. What is the atmospheric pressure? 1 atmosphere. Hence the name. Oxygen content? About 21%. Background radiation? Normal? I guess? We have an ozone layer that blocks most of the bad stuff. Torvin was taking notes frantically on his data pad. And your species evolved naturally. No genetic engineering? No artificial enhancement? Nope. Just good old-fashioned evolution. Took a few million years, but we got there. This is remarkable. This is unprecedented. This changes everything we thought we knew about gravitational limits. Does it, though? Marcus leaned back in his chair. The hover mechanism gave up entirely and just let him sit on the solid base. I mean, you said no known species survives 1G. Now you know one. Seems like you just needed to update your data. I had to admire his attitude. Here was Torvin, having his entire understanding of xenobiology challenged, and Marcus was treating it like a minor clerical error. Quinn, another student, raised one of their tentacles. Professor, if humans evolved in 1 gravity, what does that mean for their physical capabilities? Well, Torvin said slowly, theoretically it means they would be significantly stronger than most species. Their bones would be denser, their muscles more developed, their cardiovascular system more efficient. They would have to be, just to survive. I am really not that special, Marcus interjected. I am pretty average for a human, maybe even below average. I was never great at sports. You can lift 200 kilograms, I pointed out, in low gravity. That is cheating. That is still 200 kilograms. Marcus shrugged. I guess. Barl, a Threxian student known for asking difficult questions, spoke up. What about your pain tolerance? High gravity would cause constant stress on your body. You must experience significant discomfort just existing. Not really? Marcus thought about it. I mean, sure, if you work out too hard or pull a muscle, that hurts. But just standing around? Walking? That is normal. We do not even think about it. You do not think about constantly fighting against a force that would kill most species in this room. Barl pressed. Well, when you put it that way, it sounds more impressive than it is. Lena was still gripping my arm. Her patterns had shifted from anxiety to fascination. Vec, she said, do you realize what this means? That humans are terrifying? That humans are basically indestructible compared to us. If he comes from 1G and can function normally there, then in our environment, she trailed off, doing mental calculations. He is operating at less than half his normal load. He could probably throw me across the room without even trying. Please do not give him ideas. Torvin had pulled up more data. Marcus, I need to ask you some questions. For science. Sure, shoot. Can your species survive rapid decompression? No, we die pretty quick without air. What about temperature extremes? We are warm-blooded, so we can handle a decent range. But go too hot or too cold and we have problems. Why? I am trying to understand your limitations. So far, all I am finding are your advantages. We have plenty of limitations, Marcus said. We need to eat regularly. We need sleep. We get sick. We age. We have all the standard biological problems. But in terms of physical durability, Torvin pressed, you are far beyond most species. I guess? I have never really thought about it. A thought occurred to me. Marcus, what do humans do for fun? He looked at me. That is a random question. Humor me. Well, lots of things. We play sports. We watch entertainment media. We socialize. Some people like to climb mountains. Wait, I held up a hand. You climb mountains? On a 1G world? Yeah, it is called mountaineering, or rock climbing. Some people do it with ropes and safety equipment. Some people do it free solo, which means no equipment. The room had gone quiet again. This was becoming a pattern. You voluntarily climb vertical surfaces, Barl said slowly, on a planet that is already trying to kill you with gravity. For entertainment? When you phrase it like that, it does sound kind of crazy, Marcus admitted. But it is fun. You get a great view from the top. Quinn's tentacles were waving frantically. What other things do humans do for fun? Oh man, where do I start? Skydiving. That is where you jump out of an aircraft and fall back to the planet. Why? Several students asked simultaneously. Because it is thrilling? You get to fly through the air. Well, fall through the air. But it feels like flying. Then you open a parachute and float down safely. Usually safely, I said. Usually safely, Marcus agreed. There have been accidents. But that is true of anything. Lena had let go of my arm and was staring at Marcus like he was some kind of exotic specimen. Which, to be fair, he was. What else? Bungee jumping. That is where you tie an elastic cord to your ankles and jump off a bridge. Why? This time it was Torvin asking. Same reason. It is fun. Your species jumps off elevated structures with only an elastic cord preventing your death, for fun. Yeah. Oh, and we also have cave diving. That is where you go swimming in underwater caves. It is considered extreme because if something goes wrong, you are trapped underground in the dark with limited air. Of course you have that, I muttered. Marcus was warming to his subject now. Then there is base jumping, which is like skydiving but from lower heights so you have less time to deploy your parachute. And ice climbing. And volcano boarding, where you slide down the side of an active volcano on a board. An active volcano, Torvin repeated. Well, not during an eruption. That would be stupid. That would be stupid, Lena echoed, sounding dazed. I was starting to understand something fundamental about humans. They had evolved in an environment that was constantly trying to kill them. One gravity meant every movement required effort. But instead of making them weak, it had made them strong, and apparently it had also made them seek out danger for entertainment. Professor Torvin was writing furiously on his data pad. This is going to require a complete revision of gravitational biology theory. Every textbook will need to be updated. Humans represent an entirely new category of sentient species. I am just a guy, Marcus protested. Really, back home I am completely average. That is what concerns me, Torvin said. If you are average, what are the exceptional humans capable of? Oh, well, we have Olympic athletes. They can do some pretty amazing things. There was this one runner who could do the 100-meter dash in under 9.5 seconds. On Earth, in full gravity. The room erupted in shocked noises. Various students were clicking, buzzing, chirping, and in Quinn's case, releasing small puffs of colored gas. It was chaos. Torvin held up his manipulator appendages for silence. Please, everyone, let us approach this scientifically. Marcus, would you be willing to participate in some tests? Nothing invasive. Just measurements, strength assessments, endurance trials. Sure, I guess, as long as it does not interfere with my classes. Excellent. We will schedule something for this afternoon. Torvin looked around at the rest of us. The rest of you, I want you to write a paper on the implications of high-gravity species for xenobiological theory. 5,000 words. Due next week. There was a collective groan. This is important, Torvin insisted. We are witnessing a paradigm shift in our understanding of biology. Take advantage of it. The rest of the lecture was a blur. Torvin tried to return to his prepared material, but nobody was paying attention anymore. Everyone was watching Marcus. When he stood up. When he stretched. when he picked up his bag like it was filled with feathers instead of whatever textbooks and equipment he had packed. After class ended, several students immediately swarmed Marcus, asking questions. He handled it with surprising patience, answering everything from "How strong are you?" to "Do you have any natural predators?" to "Can I touch your hair?" Lena and I hung back, watching the spectacle. "I am still processing this," Lena said. "Same. He is from a death world, an actual death world, and his species not only survived there but thrived, and apparently decided to do dangerous things for fun because their planet was not trying hard enough to kill them. Humans are insane. Humans are impressive. Both things can be true." I watched as Marcus demonstrated his grip strength by casually bending a metal stylus that Quinn had handed him. He did it without even seeming to try, chatting the whole time about Earth's history and culture. "You know what this means," I said to Lena. "What?" "If humans can survive 1G, and there are billions of them on Earth, and they have space travel technology," I trailed off. Lena's bioluminescent patterns went dark. "Oh no!" "Oh yes. They are going to spread across the galaxy, and everywhere they go, they are going to be stronger and more durable than the native species." "Exactly. We are looking at a species that is biologically adapted to survive in conditions that would kill us. They are like walking tanks, and they do not even realize how special that makes them." We watched as Marcus bent another stylus, this time into the shape of a flower, and presented it to an absolutely delighted Quillic student. "Should we be worried?" Lena asked. "Maybe. But he seems nice enough. Today he is nice. What about tomorrow? What about when humans realize how powerful they are compared to everyone else?" "I guess we will find out." Professor Torvin had approached Marcus and was gesturing enthusiastically about the upcoming tests. Marcus nodded along, agreeing to everything, seemingly unaware that he had just turned xenobiology upside down by simply existing. That afternoon, I made sure to attend the testing session. So did half the student body. The gymnasium was packed with curious onlookers, all wanting to see what a human could do. Marcus arrived in what he called workout clothes, simple fabric garments that allowed for movement. He looked around at the assembled crowd and laughed. "I feel like I am at a circus." "You kind of are," I said. "Fair enough." Torvin had set up various testing stations, weights, resistance machines, endurance equipment. He also had medical sensors ready to monitor Marcus's vital signs during the tests. "We will start simple," Torvin announced. "Marcus, please step onto the scale." Marcus complied. Numbers appeared on the holographic display. 79.3 kilograms, Torvin read. In 0.35 gravity. That gives you an effective weight of, he did quick calculations, 27.7 kilograms. "I feel super light," Marcus said, "like I could jump over a building." "Please do not jump over any buildings," Torvin said quickly. At least not yet. We need to establish baselines first." The first test was grip strength. Marcus squeezed a device that measured force. The numbers climbed, and kept climbing. "That is impossible," Barl said. "That is what I have been saying all day," Torvin replied. Marcus released the device. "How did I do?" "You registered 490 newtons of grip force. For comparison, the average Velcran manages about 80 newtons. Is that good?" "Marcus, you could crush most beings' manipulator appendages without even trying." "Oh, sorry. Do not apologize. Just be careful." Next was strength testing. Torvin had Marcus lift increasingly heavy weights. In the station's low gravity, Marcus was able to lift objects that would have required industrial equipment for most species. "This is absurd," Lena whispered to me. "He just lifted 300 kilograms. In low gravity, I reminded her. Still, 300 kilograms. The endurance test was even more revealing. Torvin had Marcus run on a treadmill while monitors tracked his heart rate, respiration, and various other biological markers. After 30 minutes of running at speeds that would have exhausted any Velcran in 5 minutes, Marcus was barely breathing hard. "How do you feel?" Torvin asked. "Good, I could keep going." "Your heart rate is only slightly elevated." "Yeah, this is like a light jog for me." Torvin made more notes. "Your cardiovascular system is remarkably efficient. We have to be. On Earth, we need strong hearts to pump blood against gravity. Obviously." After another hour of tests, during which Marcus demonstrated jumping ability, reaction time, and overall physical coordination, Torvin called a halt. "This is sufficient data for now," he said. "Marcus, you have been very patient." "No problem. It was actually kind of interesting." "Interesting?" Torvin's eye stalks rotated. "Yes, that is one word for it." The crowd dispersed slowly, students discussing what they had witnessed. I heard snatches of conversation. "Did you see how high he jumped? His bone density must be incredible. Humans are basically made of muscle and determination." Lena and I walked with Marcus as he headed back to his dormitory. "So," I said, "what do you think of your first day?" "Eventful," Marcus replied. "I did not expect to become a science project. You broke pretty much every assumption we had about gravitational biology." "Sorry about that." "Do not be sorry. Be careful." "Careful?" "You are a lot stronger than everyone here. By a lot. If you are not paying attention, you could hurt someone." Marcus stopped walking. I had not thought about that. "Think about it now." "You are right. I will be more careful." He paused. "This is going to be weird, is not it? Being here?" "Probably," Lena said. "But it might also be good. We need to learn about humans. And you need to learn about us. Cultural exchange program. That is what they called it when I signed up." "Did they mention you were going to revolutionize xenobiology?" "That part was not in the brochure." We reached Marcus's dormitory. He waved goodbye and headed inside, still moving with that unconscious confidence that came from a lifetime in high gravity. Lena and I stood there for a moment. "The galaxy just got a lot more interesting," she said. "Terrifying, you mean?" "That too." As we walked away, I could not help but think about what Professor Torvin had said. Marcus was average for a human, which meant there were billions more like him on Earth, stronger than us, more durable than us, and they were starting to spread out among the stars. The galaxy was about to learn a very important lesson. Never underestimate the species that evolve to fight gravity every single day of their lives. Because when gravity stops fighting back, those species become something extraordinary. And humans? Humans had been fighting gravity at 1G for their entire evolutionary history. We had no idea what we were in for. 3 weeks passed since Marcus Webb turned our understanding of biology upside down. 3 weeks of watching him navigate a world that, for him, might as well have been made of feathers and tissue paper. And let me tell you, it never stopped being weird. Professor Torvin had published his initial findings. The paper caused an uproar across 17 academic institutions. Scientists were demanding more data. Some were calling it fraud. Others were already planning expeditions to Earth to study humans in their natural habitat. The whole thing was a mess. Meanwhile, Marcus was just trying to attend classes and not accidentally break anything. He was not always successful at the second part. "I am so sorry," Marcus said, for the third time that week, staring at the crushed data pad in his hand. "I thought I was being gentle." The equipment technician, a small Pixith named Rin, just sighed. "It is fine. We have backups. But maybe you should requisition reinforced equipment?" "Good idea." I was getting used to scenes like this. Marcus would pick something up, apply what he thought was normal pressure, and the object would crumple or snap or shatter. He was like a toddler learning to control his strength, except the toddler was nearly 2 meters tall and could bench press a hover car. Classes had become entertainment. Every professor wanted Marcus to demonstrate something. The physics class involved him proving momentum calculations by throwing objects farther than the safety zone allowed. In chemistry class had to reinforce all the glassware after he broke 3 beakers just by setting them down. The biology class was just Torvin asking increasingly specific questions about human physiology. Do humans have any natural venom? Torvin had asked yesterday. No. No. Acid spit? No. No. Retractable claws? Also no. Then how did you become apex predators? Marcus had shrugged. Persistence hunting. We would just chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then we would throw rocks at it. The class had gone silent. Again, that kept happening. You hunted by making your prey too tired to escape? Barl had asked. Pretty much. We are not the fastest species, but we can keep going, and going, and going. We have incredible endurance. That is horrifying, Lena had muttered. That is efficient, Marcus had corrected. Now it was third period, and we had ethics and diplomacy with Professor Hallex. She was a trin, tall and willowy, with 4 arms and a voice like wind chimes. She specialized in interspecies relations and conflict resolution. Today's topic was resource allocation disputes. Dry stuff. The kind of lecture that usually put half the class to sleep. But then the alarm went off. Not the fire alarm. Not the evacuation alarm. The emergency hull breach alarm. That is the alarm nobody wants to hear on a space station. The lights immediately shifted to emergency red. Alex's calm voice became sharp. Everyone remain seated. This is not a drill. Station command will provide updates. My heart was racing. Hull breaches were rare, but they were deadly. One small crack in the wrong place, and an entire section could decompress. People could die in seconds. The station intercom crackled. Attention all personnel. We have detected a structural failure in Sector 7, Level 3, Maintenance Bay 12. All students and non-essential personnel are to remain in their current locations. Repeat, remain in your current locations, in Maintenance Bay 12. That was near the docking area. If the breach was bad enough, it could compromise the entire docking ring. Is anyone in Sector 7? Hallex asked, pulling up a station map on her tablet. Quinn raised a tentacle. My lab partner was heading there for equipment repair. Jex. She is a Yillith. Lena sat up straight. Jex is in the breach zone? I think so. She said she was going to Bay 12 about 10 minutes ago. The intercom crackled again. Update. Maintenance Bay 12 is experiencing rapid decompression. Emergency bulkheads are engaged. Rescue teams are deploying. Estimated time to reach affected area, 15 minutes. 15 minutes. In a decompression scenario, that might as well be 15 hours. Marcus stood up. Sit down, Hallex said immediately. We wait for professionals. Someone is trapped in there, Marcus said. His voice was steady, but I could hear tension underneath. 15 minutes is too long. You are a student, not a rescue specialist. I can help. Marcus, sit down. He sat down, but I could see him calculating something. His eyes kept darting to the door. His hands were gripping the edge of his desk. The desk was starting to deform under his fingers. Another announcement. All personnel in adjacent sectors begin evacuation procedures. Breach is expanding. Estimated containment time is now 20 minutes. 20 minutes. They were losing control. Lena grabbed my arm. Vec, Jex does not have 20 minutes. Yillith can only survive in vacuum for maybe 5 minutes. Maybe. I know. No. Marcus stood up again. This time he was already moving toward the door. Marcus Webb, you will sit down right now, Hallex commanded. All 4 of her arms were pointing at him. With respect, Professor, no, he reached the door. It slid open automatically. Someone is dying. I can move fast. I can survive low oxygen. and I am strong enough to force open emergency doors if I need to. You will be killed. Maybe. But I have to try. And then he was gone. Running. I heard his footsteps pounding down the corridor, faster than any being should be able to move in a space station. That idiot, Alex said. But she was already on her communicator. Station command, this is Professor Hallex. I have a human student en route to Sector 7. Yes, I know. No, I could not stop him. You should be aware he has exceptional physical capabilities. I looked at Lena. She looked at me. We should go after him, I said. Are you insane? Probably. But he just ran toward a hull breach. If he dies trying to save Jex, I want to be there. That logic makes no sense. I know. Come on. We ran out of the classroom before Hallex could stop us. Behind us, I heard her shouting something about stupid students and death wishes, but we were already in the corridor. Finding Marcus was easy. We just followed the trail of confused people. Did you see that? Someone was saying. He was moving so fast. The station hallways were marked with color-coded stripes for navigation. Red stripe meant emergency route. We followed it towards Sector 7, moving as fast as our legs could carry us, which, compared to Marcus, was probably a leisurely stroll. We caught up to him at the security checkpoint. 2 guards were trying to stop him from entering the restricted zone. Sir, you cannot go in there, one guard was saying. He was a Brenthi, large and imposing. But Marcus was ignoring him. Someone is trapped, Marcus said. Rescue teams are handling it. Not fast enough. Sir, I will use force if necessary. Marcus looked at him. You really do not want to do that. The guard reached for his restraint tool. Marcus moved. One moment the guard was standing there, tool in hand. The next moment Marcus had gently taken the tool, set it aside, and moved past both guards before they could react. Did he just? The second guard said. Yeah, the first guard replied. Lena and I reached the checkpoint. We are with him, I gasped, out of breath from running. Nobody else is going through. Then stop him. How? Fair point. We stood there at the checkpoint, watching the sealed doors that led to Sector 7. Emergency lights were flashing. The alarm was still blaring. And somewhere beyond those doors, Marcus was running toward a disaster. He is going to die, Lena said quietly. Maybe. Definitely. Humans are tough, but they still need oxygen. Vacuum will kill him. He knows that. You asked to add. Then why? Because that is what humans do, apparently. They see someone in trouble and they run toward it, even when it is stupid. Especially when it is stupid. We waited. Seconds turned into minutes. The station intercom provided updates. The breach was still expanding. Rescue teams were 2 minutes out. Still no contact with anyone in Bay 12. Then, static. A voice. This is Marcus Webb. I am in Maintenance Bay 12. I have found Jex. She is alive. Unconscious, but alive. The guards at the checkpoint started talking urgently into their communicators. One of them looked at us. Is your friend insane? Probably, I said. He just ran through a section that should have killed him. How bad is the decompression? Lena asked. Sector 7 is down to 0.2 atmospheres and dropping. Oxygen is at dangerous levels. Temperature is dropping toward freezing. 0.2 atmospheres. Humans needed close to 1 atmosphere to breathe properly. Marcus was operating in an environment with 1/5 of the air he needed. Another transmission. Need help getting her out. Emergency bulkheads are sealed. Trying to find manual override. His voice was strained. He was running out of air. Tell him to get out of there, one of the guards said into his communicator. Leave the Yillith and save himself. He will not do that, I said. How do you know? Because I have been watching him for 3 weeks. Humans do not leave people behind. More static. Then Marcus's voice again, weaker now. Found the override. Opening bulkhead. Bringing Jex through. Need medical at checkpoint Alpha. He did it, Lena said. He actually did it. The rescue teams arrived at the checkpoint. Medical personnel. Emergency response crews. They set up a portable airlock and pressurization chamber. Everyone was shouting instructions. Equipment was being deployed. Then the inner door of the airlock cycled open. Marcus stumbled through, carrying Jex in his arms. She was wrapped in his jacket, unconscious but breathing. He was moving on sheer determination. His skin had a blue tint. His lips were nearly purple. His eyes were unfocused. "Here," he said, handing Jex to the medical team. His voice was barely a whisper. "She needs help." Then he collapsed. The next few hours were chaos. Medical teams worked on both Marcus and Jex. Professor Torvin showed up, demanding to know what happened. Professor Hallex arrived, looking ready to either hug Marcus or strangle him. Station command sent representatives to investigate. Lena and I waited outside the medical bay. We were not allowed inside, but nobody made us leave. Finally, a doctor emerged, a Velcran like Torvin. The Yillith will recover fully. She was in vacuum for approximately 4 minutes. Her biology allowed her to survive that long. But she would not have lasted much longer. "And Marcus?" I asked. "The human is stable. He suffered severe oxygen deprivation, mild hypothermia, some tissue damage from rapid decompression, but his body is remarkably resilient. He should recover within a few days." "Should?" "Wund. He is the first human we have treated. We are learning as we go." "Great. Very reassuring." They let us see Marcus later that evening. He was in a recovery bed, hooked up to various monitors, oxygen mask over his face. But he was awake. "Hey," he said when we entered. His voice was muffled by the mask. "You are an idiot," Lena said. "Yeah. You almost died, but I did not." "Banned. Died. You ran into a decompressing section of the station with no suit, no equipment, and no plan." "I had a plan. Get Jex, get out." "That is not a plan. That is barely even a concept." Marcus pulled the oxygen mask aside. "Is she okay?" "Jex is fine," I said. "Full recovery expected." "Because of you." "Good." He put the mask back. "The doctors said you should not have survived," Lena continued. 0.2 atmospheres is not enough oxygen for human respiration, not enough for sustained activity, Marcus corrected. "But humans can function in low oxygen for short periods. Mountain climbers do it all the time. Mount Everest has 0.3 atmospheres at the summit. People climb it." "Why?" Lena asked, exasperated. "Because it is there." "That is not a reason. It is the only reason we need." Professor Torvin entered the medical bay. "Marcus, we need to talk." "Am I in trouble?" "That depends. Do you consider being a hero trouble?" "I am not a hero. I just did what needed doing." "You violated direct orders from a professor. You bypassed station security. You entered a restricted hazard zone. You risked your life for a fellow student." "So yes to trouble?" Torvin's eye stalks rotated in what I had learned was amusement. "No. You are being awarded the station's Civilian Valor Commendation. And several departments want to study how you survived in 0.2 atmospheres." "Of course they do." "Marcus, you need to understand something. What you did today was extraordinary. Most species would have died within seconds of entering that environment. You lasted long enough to locate Jex, navigate through damaged corridors, override emergency systems, and carry her to safety. All while your body was shutting down from lack of oxygen. Humans are stubborn. We do not shut down easy. Clearly." Over the next 2 days, Marcus became a celebrity. Students who had been wary of him now wanted to talk to him. Professors who had treated him as a curiosity now treated him with respect. Jex, once recovered, insisted on thanking him personally. She hugged him, which was complicated because Yilith hugs involved a lot of bioluminescent pattern sharing, and Marcus had no idea what any of it meant. "She is saying you have her eternal gratitude," Lena translated. "And she is offering to be your bonded sister, which is a high honor among Yilith." Thank you," Marcus said to Jex. "I am glad you are okay." Jex released him and spoke in her musical language. Lena translated. "She says she understands now why humans explore the galaxy. A species that refuses to give up has much to teach others." "We are just persistent," Marcus said, "like those tiny insects that keep trying to climb up a wall even after falling down." "Ants," I supplied. "Yeah, ants. We are like ants. Stubborn ants. Ants that can lift 200 kilograms, Lena added. "Okay, strong, stubborn ants." That night, a group of us gathered in the station's common area. Marcus, Lena, Quinn, Barl, Jex, and myself. We were supposed to be studying, but mostly we were talking. "I have a question," Quinn said, their tentacles waving thoughtfully. "Marcus, why do humans help each other? Even at great personal risk? Why would we not? Most species have self-preservation instincts. Those instincts should override altruistic behavior, especially toward non-relatives." Marcus thought about it. "I guess it is because we learned early on that we are stronger together. Humans are not the biggest. We are not the fastest. We do not have claws or venom or armor. What we have is each other. So we take care of each other, even when it is hard. Especially when it is hard. That is remarkably inefficient from a biological standpoint," Barl observed. "Maybe. But it kept us alive, and it made us who we are. As a species of persistent, stubborn, altruistic maniacs," Lena said. "Pretty much." Jex spoke, and Lena translated. "She wants to know about Earth. What is it like?" Marcus smiled. "It is beautiful. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds, mountains that touch the sky, deserts that stretch forever. We have polar ice caps and tropical jungles and everything in between. And 1G crushing you constantly," I added. "You get used to it. You do not even notice after a while." He paused. "Actually, that is not true. Sometimes you notice. When you are carrying something heavy. When you are climbing stairs. When you are tired and just want to lie down. But it is home. You adapt. Humans adapt to everything," Quinn said. "That is your real superpower." "I suppose." We talked late into the station night. Marcus told us about Earth history, wars and peace, inventions and disasters, art and music and literature. He told us about pizza and basketball and ocean surfing and 1,000 other things that made no sense in a zero-gravity environment. And slowly I realized something. Humans were not just physically tough. They were mentally tough. They had survived ice ages and plagues and their own worst impulses. They had built civilizations in the harshest environments. They had looked at a 1G world full of predators and disasters and said, "Yes, this is fine, we will make it work." "What do you think happens now?" Lena asked me later, after the others had left. We were walking back to our dormitory. Marcus had already headed back to his room, still recovering from his oxygen deprivation. "What do you mean? With humans? Now that we know about them? Now that the galaxy knows about them? I think everything changes. We thought we understood the limits of biology. We were wrong. Humans push past those limits just by existing. Do you think more will come? More humans?" "Definitely." Marcus said Earth has over 8 billion people. They have space travel. They have curiosity. Of course more will come. And when they do? I thought about it. Marcus running into danger. Marcus lifting weights that would crush me. Marcus surviving conditions that should have killed him. Marcus helping Jex without hesitation. "When they do," I said, "I think they will change everything. And I think that might be exactly what the galaxy needs." We reached our dormitory. Lena stopped at her door. "Vec, I have decided something." "What?" What? I want to visit Earth someday. In 1G. Are you insane? Probably. But if Marcus can survive in our low gravity, maybe we can survive in his high gravity. At least for a little while. I want to see the world that built humans, the world that made them strong and stubborn and brave. You will need an exoskeleton. Then I will get an exoskeleton. I want to see mountains that touch the sky. I want to see oceans under one gravity. I want to understand. I considered this. You know what? Me too. Really? Really? If we are going to share a galaxy with humans, we should understand where they come from. Deal. After we graduate, we visit Earth. Deal. The next morning, I woke up to find that Marcus had been released from medical. He was back in class, taking notes, participating in discussions, acting like he had not nearly died 2 days ago. Professor Torvin was lecturing about adaptive biology, as we have recently learned. He said, with a pointed look at Marcus, our assumptions about gravitational limits were incorrect. This teaches us an important lesson, but never assume you know the boundaries of what is possible. The universe will always surprise you, or terrify you, Barl muttered. At 2. After class, Marcus approached me. Hey, Vec K. Can I ask you something? Sure. Why did you and Lena follow me to the breach zone? You could have stayed safe. Honestly, I do not know. It seemed important. You were running toward danger, and it felt wrong to let you go alone. Marcus smiled. See, that is what I was talking about. Humans do not have a monopoly on courage or stupidity. We are all capable of it. Every species. Maybe. But you make it look easy. It is not easy. I was terrified. The whole time I was in Sector 7, I thought I was going to die. My lungs were burning. My head was pounding. Everything hurt. But you kept going. What else could I do? Jex needed help. And that, I realized, was the real difference. Not that humans were fearless. Not that they were invincible. But that they kept going even when they were afraid. Even when they were in pain. Even when every logical instinct said to stop. You are something else, Marcus Webb. I am just a guy from a high-gravity world. No, you are a guy who proved that impossibility is just another word for something we have not figured out yet. He laughed. I like that. Can I use it? It is yours. 3 months later, Professor Torvin published his complete study on human biology. It became required reading at universities across 12 systems. Scientists were calling it groundbreaking, revolutionary, paradigm-shifting. Marcus was still just Marcus, attending classes, breaking equipment accidentally, helping anyone who needed it, being proof that the galaxy was bigger and stranger and more wonderful than we had imagined. And me. I was studying xenobiology with renewed interest. Because if humans could exist, what else was possible? What other species were out there, waiting to be discovered? What other assumptions were we making that would turn out to be completely wrong? The galaxy was full of surprises, and humans were just the beginning. I could not wait to see what came next. On my desk, I had a photo that Marcus had shared, Earth from orbit. That beautiful blue sphere wrapped in white clouds, spinning in the darkness of space, one gravity crushing down on everything. And on that world, 8 billion humans living their lives, fighting gravity every single day, getting stronger because of it. Professor Torvin had been wrong. One standard gravity was not the limit. It was not the line that could not be crossed. It was just another challenge. Another mountain to climb, another obstacle to overcome. And humans? Humans specialized in overcoming obstacles. The rest of us were just learning to keep up.